So we're here today with Miss Lucy Lambert, who is a Canadian jazz musician and vocalist. She's recently moved back to BC from a stint in Montreal. Can you tell us about some of the recent projects you've been working on in Montreal?
Yeah, hi Rick, thanks for having me on your show. So my recent album was called Lucy Lambert's Violet Drift, and that's the name of my first traditional jazz album that I released last October. And it's out now on all platforms. We released it on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Lucy Lambert's Violet Drift. So that was the first jazz album that I ever sang in, played accordion in, produced myself. And we play with a really incredible quintet of some of the best jazz musicians in Montreal, including Juliette Malgrange, who's a really incredible cellist who recently graduated from McGill with an MFA in Jazz Studies. Joseph Abbott, who often plays in the band Petunia and the Vipers and a lot of really incredible projects, along with being a really amazing clarinetist. Louis Levesque, who runs the band The Royal Pickles, which is also a really popular traditional jazz band in Montreal that he sings in.
The Royal Pickles.
The Royal Pickles.
That is an awesome name.
Yeah, that's Louis' project. So that was our tenor banjo player. It was really exciting to have him in the project because he knows that music really well. And Tyler Parent was playing the bass also. And he's been in a lot of really amazing projects in Montreal, including Old Time Honey and Hard Up and a lot of other great bands. So yeah, it was really exciting to work together because everyone in the band is a really incredible musician and really cool person. They're all my friends too, so it was really fun to work together. Our next song is called Smoke Rings. The smoke rings I blow each night. And what do they do? The circles of blue and white. And what do they tell? And what is the spell they cast? Though some of them fall and some seem to recall the past. Though most of them rise away to the skies above. Oh, those smoke rings bring me back my love.
Blow, blow, blow those little rings. Blow, 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 blow. Give your troubles wings. Puff, 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 puff your cares away. Puff, 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 puff each night and day.
How did it feel to produce your first jazz album?
It felt really incredible for me, especially because of my roots. I taught myself to play accordion through YouTube tutorials on the internet and taught myself violin that way also. And then I was always just street performing and busking to make a living for a lot of my early 20s. So to get good enough that now I'm playing jazz professionally and performing on all these big stages and big theaters and festivals and able to produce jazz albums for me as a completely self-taught musician feels really amazing, especially to be playing with people who have, you know, all postgraduate degrees in jazz and different things like that. Definitely it's exciting, and our album was super well received. We were on CBC, on Jazz Today, on Jazz FM.
Amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, we were interviewed on all these different jazz radio stations and presses. So for me, that's really exciting and yeah, really encouraging for me to do my next album, which I'm working on now in Vancouver. Yeah, so we were on CBC, on Jazz Today, on Jazz FM, and on a lot of different jazz radio stations and presses, and I was being called for interviews, like we were on Rimouski Jazz, Jazz Actuel, and yeah, people really loved the album and really loved our sound together, so it's really encouraging for me as a band leader and a singer and musician to do my next album, which I'm now working on in Vancouver with a new group of musicians.
What inspired you to make the move out here?
Well, I guess I just feel really inspired by the jazz scene in Vancouver now. Like, I grew up in the city, but I wasn't really a musician when I used to live here. And then I really grew as a musician in Montreal, just because of the influence of world music and how bilingual it is. And people are really into all sorts of obscure types of jazz and old music from France and Europe that really inspired me. And then I just realized that coming back to Vancouver, I'd grown so much as an artist and then was able to connect with all these really incredible jazz musicians in Vancouver now. So I'm realizing Vancouver is also a really incredible city for music and also for acting and modeling, which I'm also doing now. So it's a little bit...
Oh, you're getting into acting and modeling now?
Yeah, I am also. So for me, yeah.
That's exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, it's exciting. So yeah, I like the West Coast for that. I think it's a really incredible city for acting as well. So just because of the kinds of things I'm excited about doing in performance now, I feel like living in Vancouver is a great place to be.
Then we'll go flying high in birdland, up in the sky, up above, because we're in love.
What are some of the differences between the two albums, and what can we expect to hear on this new one?
Yeah, well, I feel like our last album was really special just because of Juliette Malgrange playing the cello. She has a really special and magical way of playing jazz cello, which you don't hear very much cello in jazz music. You don't hear that much accordion in jazz music either, so me and Juliette and Joe Abbott were creating 3-part harmonies with the clarinet, the cello, and the accordion that were kind of creating a more dreamy ambience. So I'd say that album was a little bit more avant-garde and experimental in the sense that you don't usually hear that instrumentation in that style of jazz, so it had a kind of dreamy aesthetic overall. Whereas now we're playing with a whole new band of musicians, and I kind of think of Violet Drift as kind of a rotating cast where a lot of different creative possibilities can happen with me as the band leader, and I get to kind of choose who I want to play with, which is really exciting. So I'd say our next album has a bit of a more modern aesthetic because instead of the tenor banjo, like we had Louis playing banjo on our last album, whereas we have a guitar player, electric guitarist, Seb Chomny is going to be on our next album. So I'd say the electric guitar, and we also have Kevin Romain playing percussion. He's a really incredible jazz drummer. one of the best in the city, and then we have John Nicholson playing tenor saxophone. So I would just say with that instrumentation that you get a little bit more of a modern feeling, just based on how the tunes are arranged. And we have Noah Gottfried on the bass, and he's a really incredible bassist also. So I would say that just based on, in jazz, everybody has their own style, and so you kind of just hear a kind of different sound based on who you have and how the dynamic of everyone playing together. I would say it's a little bit more modern sounding overall.
Okay, that's really cool how the Violet Drift is evolving as the years go by.
Thank you.
Well, Lucy, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. Before you go, can you tell us some of the new upcoming events or shows that you're playing at?
Yeah, for sure. So we're about to go on tour actually to Vancouver Island. We're going to play at Souk Music Festival on September 2nd, which is a free outdoor event which Souk hosts every year. So I'm really excited for that. Then we're going to drive up to Quadra Island. We're going to play at Quadrapalooza, which is a really amazing arts and music festival on Quadra Island that's organized by some of my friends, and a lot of bands that I really like are going to be playing there also. So I really recommend checking out Quadrapalooza. Then we're coming back to the city, and we're going to be rehearsing a lot because we're going into the studio around the 11th of September. So our next local show in Vancouver after our tour will be on September 7th at the Heatley. So that's around 9 o'clock we're going to be playing. So yeah.
Great. September 7th, 9 o'clock at the Heatley.
Yes.
I'll be there for sure.
You can see our full band playing there.
And where can we find your last album and links to what you're currently working on?
Yeah, so I have a few different social media handles where I post all of my work. You can find our album under Lucy Lambert's Violet Drift. That was the name of our last album, and I post it on my Instagram, Lucy Lambert Music. I also post it on Facebook. Our Facebook page is called Lucy Lambert's Violet Drift, so give us a like and a follow. And we have a YouTube channel also, you can subscribe. And our next album is also going to be posted on our Bandcamp page. It's called Lucy Lambert's Violet Drift.bandcamp.com, so you can find our last jazz album there as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Lucy, for your time. And yeah, we'll see you all next time.
Thanks for having me.